Welcome to the show.
Once again for having me. You look dazzling.
Thank you. You too. You
Yeah.
too. There's a bit of blue going on over here. Memo tulipatiana na watu wakadecide kufollow Memo. So we're happy about that. You've taken us through a journey.
Thank you.
And when we feel or think like we've known everything there is, then there's something else.
Around the corner.
Yeah. And I'm always looking forward to what are we going to be talking about next week. So
Okay.
today, we're talking about how we eat.
We're talking about how we eat and the connection that we have with our food-related behaviors, which takes us to our emotional connection. So through our eating habits,
Okay.
we're going to learn more about our emotional connection.
Emotional connection.
Emotional connection.
Sijui nianze
Mikali.
kujisema. So I have friends
Okay.
who I know, two of them, they will never ask for anything they do not know.
Okay.
They'd rather stick to nipatie tu chips. Yani we've gone to an expensive restaurant tuko looking peng, and then anasema wanilete tu chipo mi niko what is your signature dish here? You know,
Yeah.
what is it that sells? Alafu anakwambia jina ujui. Now, what is it?
So we discover later what it is.
Yes, and then that is the one that I will order. I will
Yes.
never go for like what I usually will get at home or kibandaski hapo nje. And so people have different habits.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
And this connects them that shows us how we connect emotionally.
profoundly. Profoundly.
let's get
Because
to
when
it.
you pointed out those two,
Yes.
it gives a scenario of an adventurer eater. An adventurer eater would rather know what the food is about later, but just give me that name that looks ambiguous. Give me that name. I want to try it. So adventurer eaters, these are exciting people.
Okay.
Name a location, probably they've gone to that joint. These people are thrill seekers. They will introduce you to some things they know of or don't know of. So it could say a lot about their emotional connection, which we're going to come to.
Okay.
And then you said about a different kind of eater that these are safe eaters. By safe, I mean we also have this picky eater who kind of goes for what they're familiar with. That means even if you took them to that restaurant, they're going to go for, give me that plate of fries first. Let me see what you ordered as the adventurer eater. Then I might kind of have a bit of that. And this is what you're going to get with picky eaters who are different from slow eaters. Picky eaters, once I ordered that plate of chips and I look at your dish and it looks amazing. You look like you're having fun. So give me some, Wikali. Let me have a bit of some. Though I didn't really originally offer it or maybe go for it or order it, but through you, I get to have a bit of what you have.
Okay.
So when we talk about emotional connection of the adventurer eater, these are people who will make you face life just head on. Picky eaters will be slightly different. You might get rigid people because they're very hard in challenging their own boundaries.
Okay.
So I want to face life through how you faced yours first. We have fast eaters. Fast eaters, you kind of know. These are people who are going to plod along the plate really quick. They're ambitious. They're
Kijeshi.
Kijeshi. And thank you for mentioning that because there are some careers that's a necessity. So as I point that out, I know because of some type of careers that is necessary. But just how you approach life is what this show is about today, and more about your emotional connection. So you're goal-oriented, you're very spirited, but you face life with a sense of urgency, but you need to watch out for the details. Sometimes you may miss those crucial details with this kind of people.
Okay.
Then we've got slow eaters. These are the last people to finish their plate. Definitely you're going to get that quick no and a very slow yes. They may almost look like picky eaters, going to order some food, but they might or might not eat it.
Oh.
So they might kind of leave it. So you may get, if this is a relationship, you kind of will emotionally connect with these people very differently. So I want to introduce two more that probably people have never concentrated with. This is the isolationist eater. The isolationist eater, how they just eat their food, it's one item at a time. So I will enjoy this piece here before I go to that nyama. And if it's nyama, I'm going to start with that white before I go to the red. I can't just jumble myself up. These are people who take their time, enjoy this food item before I go to the next. And probably these are the people, Mwikali, when you've gone to that restaurant, they want to know the entire display of the buffet before they order.
Okay.
Adventurer eaters, I'm like, okay, what's popping today?
You'll
Give
just
me
go and
that,
then
give me
discover,
that.
oh, I should have, you know.
I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So with this kind of people, they really take their time. So is the emotional connection. So is the emotional connection. So you've got that adventurer eater, you've got that isolationist kind of eater, fast eater, slow eater, and picky eater. These people connect with, the emotional connection is very differently.
Okay.
So if we are to begin with the adventurer, these are people you know you're going to risk life with them. Let's start this relationship. Let's go. Let's learn it along the way. Sawa, tuenda tukijua huko mbele. These are the people who come like that. Be
Okay.
it that chick, be it that lady. It's gonna be let's learn. I mean, love is about adventuring and get to knowing more about each other. Fast eater, definitely. Let's have the basics first. Let's get on with it. So that's why you're going to see that adventurer and fast eater kind of connect on the first instance.
Ah.
Slow
Okay.
eater gonna take their time first. And guys in this space might be frustrated, gentlemen to be particular, because you might stick in the friend zone for a long time because she has a quick no before a quick yes.
Okay.
So you might get frustrated a little bit there with them because before you get that yes, we've stayed in this friend zone for quite some time. Then isolationist eater will emotionally connect with you very differently. He or she might take their time because it's one food item at a time before we move on to the next.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is very interesting. Is it different for ladies and gentlemen? Is it the same?
It is different
Okay.
depending again with the personality.
Okay.
So let's assume, maybe to answer your question profoundly, let's assume we have this swimming pool and we have this shallow end and we've got this deep end. So this swimming pool, we're going to call this pool of love. We can either survive our love on the shallow end part completely. Just see how people enter into, in the swimming pool. I kind of know the shallow end part. My feet are touching the ground. I'm more comfortable here before we cross onto the deep end. Deep end is completely different. We're not touching, there's that paddling. There's just different dynamics depending on where you are. For ladies, it's very different, like the question you asked me. Our love, if we're in a relationship, we can survive on the familiar part. What we know, what works for us now. We can survive on the shallow end part of our pool of love. We do not need to go to the deep end part. But once we start crossing over to the deep end part, this is where I need you to paddle your feet as I paddle mine. So there's something you need to work on and there's something I need to work on. This is where now it introduces us to some self-growth. You have to work on your self-growth as I work on my self-growth in this pool of love, because we're in the deeper parts of our relationship. You have to work on your self-worth, just like I have to work on my self-worth. You have to work on your self-love as I work on my self-love, because now we're in a zone where it's the deeper end. This is where now ladies need to work on themselves very differently from the way men work on themselves very differently. And since I said I want to answer your question profoundly, there's a time, Mwikali, I had a personality dating class for men and a separate one for ladies. And the personality dating class that I had for men, I asked this question of, why do you stick with that woman that you have? Why is your love channeled to her? And the answers that I got there were amazing. Some were saying, it's because of how she cooks and serves me. It gave me the idea that this is a homemaker.
Okay.
Another gentleman said, it's the way she prayed that made me realize that I could have a prayerful woman and she could spiritually cover me. Another man said, it's because the way we handle our conflict resolutions confirmed to me that no matter how ahead it looks, the deeper part, things could be good. I was surprised. Crossed over to the ladies, had the same personality dating class, asked them, why is it that
You
dude
steal.
and not any other? It's the way he emotionally affirms me. That told me men needed to work on the emotional connection first before you can think about emotionally affirming. And so many other reasons came out. So in regards to your question on do we need to work on ourselves differently? A lot.
Okay. Yeah. How do you eat? What kind of eater are you? Shinishaji sema kwa dunia. Now y'all know what personality, emotional, tutasikia mengine zaidi. But please send us your SMSs if you have any questions whatsoever. If you've noticed how he eats and you're concerned, 111 444 111, that is our SMS line. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Full Circle with Mukali. I'm loving your SMSs and we're going to get to that. Please send them in. Have you noticed how he eats or she eats? Are you concerned about the way you eat and what that means? Please send that in. Have you even figured out what kind of eater you are? 111 444 111. Mark Mbogo is going to be in the building to just make sure that he answers or explains more about what that says about your personality and your emotional connection, all of that. But I'm concerned, Mark.
Yes, Mukali.
Kwanzia wale wa kurap paper.
Yes.
Mimi I've been following my journey closely.
Good. That's good.
What does it mean? How are we all how am I connected, or anybody else who's watching, to all of the personality traits that we talked about earlier, plus the emotional connection as well?
I love the angle to that question, because now wholesomely, we are using these personalities to go deeper into things about our primary and our secondary behaviors.
Yes.
Which is what I want our viewers to keep in mind.
Okay.
So even these eating habits that we're talking about in relation to our emotional connection, it's still going to trickle back to how you handle your wrapper, which is going to be that key that's going to tell you, even if you're a fast eater and you twist, because now here we could have fast eaters of 4 versions, Moikali. A fast eater who folds, fast eater who twists, fast eater who leaves the wrapper as it is, and a fast eater that crumples the wrapper. So introduces us to a different angle of kind of eaters. This is where now we probably even kind of group, because now a fast eater who's ambitious, goal-oriented, acts on a sense of urgency and folds. It's an introverted kind of personality with an extroverted sort of goal-oriented view of life. This is now where things operate differently, because probably in the beginning I could be folding my wrapper, but wow, welcome to my emotional connection. I need things fast. I'm acting like an extrovert. Yet here, primary acts like I'm an introvert. This is where some behaviors introduce us to some extroverted character traits.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying, if we stick, and if you need to watch out that show if you haven't, for those who fold, for those who unwrap it as it is, for those who twist, and for those who crumple, that is the key of your overall personality trait. Okay. However, if we are to go deeper to your primary and to your secondary behaviors, we start realizing that even though you look introverted, you could have some extroverted action going on.
Okay.
So now, like we said, the eating habits now gives us finer details of your secondary behavior, because your primary could be you are introverted. When someone looks at Mwikali, he or she says, Mwikali is an extrovert, or Mwikali is this kind of personality. But when we come to Mwikali's eating habits, we realize, wow, Mwikali could be that slow eater, could be that picky eater, could be that adventurer. So we have some introverted traits of Mwikali, as well as some extroverted traits of Mwikali. So how you handle your wrapper gives us a clue to how generally you are. Your eating habits, on the other hand, give us a clue to your emotional connection, your view of life, your pace of life, how you want your emotional connection to work. That's how it all connects.
Based on the emotional connection that we've probably discovered today.
Okay.
How then do we create a relationship? How do I treat my partner different or better now that I can see that this is what it means because of the way they express themselves while they're eating?
That's a very valid question. And this is what we talked about earlier, self-growth. How does self-growth look on you? Because now we know in our pool of love, there are parts you need to work on, and there are parts that I need to work on. Our last show was about character assassination in relationships. This is where we talked about last time. We need to look into who you were before emotional pain took a hold on you, which meant your self-growth. In emotional connection now about today's show, your eating habits are revealing how you view life. When I look at you, as a dude, I'm trying to see, now that Mwikali has this laugh, captivating smile, to my mind as a dude, how far can I go with that in this relationship? This is where, as a dude, I look for personal resources that are natural to you. Your captivating smile, your personality. As a dude, I'm looking at you on the angle of how long can that last so that I can make this a long-term relationship. When you look at me as a woman in this relationship, you look at me and say, are those things natural in me? And if they are natural, then they are my personal resources. When I talked about the personality dating classes for men and for women, people are looking for what is natural about you that makes me stick with you longer with you. That's why it's you and no one else.
Okay.
So by the time you discover your personality, your eating habits, in other words, your view of life, then the way self-growth looks on you makes me decide that it will be you. So it's how self-growth looks separately on us, which is why we decide we want to be in a relationship, because your hope is, I hope I keep this long term. My hope is, I hope you keep that long term so that we can make this a relationship. So today's show is saying more about what is natural about you and how long can it last. That is what now emotional connection is about, because we're talking about emotional connection. This is a deeper sense. It is beyond surface level conversations. It is a deeper sense to say, now I think I want to stick with you because of these personal resources about you.
Okay.
How does self-growth look on you? How does self-worth look on you? And please, there are things that you do not need to change. We'll be looking into that shortly based on how you handle your wrapper. So there are things, depending if you twist your wrapper, there are things that you cannot afford to lose as a woman.
To know that we're there. I'm just following. I'm just like, hey.
Okay, so let's say you twist. Let's me begin with the ladies and then I'll come to the gentlemen. There are things that are natural about those who twist their wrapper. Ladies' version before I come to the men's version. Your view of life and the enthusiasm you bring, you need to be handled in a way that we see you bring that warmth into the relationship. That's a personal resource. That's not something we can learn anywhere. You were born with it. That's so natural, and that's the reason why I may need to emotionally connect with you. That's for the lady who twists. For the lady who crumples her wrapper, we talked about solutions. The resourcefulness that you bring, or the emotional connection that you bring into the relationship, is that you are a resourceful person.
Okay.
We expect that during those hard times, you provide the solutions.
Okay.
You fold that wrapper. We know that the emotional connection that you bring into the relationship is just an idealistic way on how to view life. These are now, Mwikali, these are the ladies who are in the deeper end
of the pool.
You meet them there.
Yes.
So if a dude, you're outside the pool of love,
yes,
these are the people, and perhaps you may have that challenge of coming to the shallow end. These are the chicks who are saying, I only offer my love at the deep end. Come join me at the deep end.
Okay.
And eventually those who leave things as they are, now they're in the shallow part of the pool of love.
Okay.
Because they leave things as they are, they're very cautious. So as a dude, now, if I'm to go to the deeper parts of this relationship, we have to begin at the shallow.
Okay.
And you're going to have a challenge with them as you go to the deep end.
That
For the
like
guys'
that
version.
sounds like a picky eater.
That sounds like a picky eater. You got it right.
Yes.
That's
okay.
a picky eater.
Okay.
So you're going to get that quick no.
Okay. Before
Can we
yes.
go to the deeper? No. Yeah.
Just safe over here. So for the guy's version.
So for the guy's version, those that actually leave things as they are. Now, naturally, we expect men to kind of have that leading aspect of the relationship. because they're the ones leading in some things. If it's confidence, if it's making a move, they're the ones who are trying to do that. So in a nutshell, you might not see this on the primary. You're going to locate this on the eating habits.
Okay.
So for those who leave things as they are, then you know these are the people who, let's begin here first, they kind of calculate the damage. They are very rigid because they kind of do not want, and as a woman, you feel like they are really keeping this on the friend zone. They do not want to go to the deeper parts of the relationship, and you're kind of feeling now, when will you commit? Now, when the guy is faced with those challenges, he knows the lady has to kind of act up to kind of push this relationship to move to the deeper parts, because they leave things as they are.
Yeah.
So it means like the lady is kind of funneling the relationship.
Okay.
Those that fold, now you get with this kind of gentlemen, they have already been on the shallow end. They know how it's going to be on the deep end. They want to risk it with you.
Okay.
But as long as you're selfless, ask them.
Okay.
That's the key. If they discover you're kind of rigid with a quick no and a slow yes, they're like, it's okay. Let's keep this love on the shallow parts. There's no need to be in the deep ends, but naturally they're in the deeper parts.
Okay.
So as a woman, you're going to feel, how did we get so fast into the deep end? It's because they're there already. That's how they offer their kind of love. Those that twist, those are the adventurer kind of eaters. They're the ones who will tell you, let's try dependent. They've never tried it.
You're going to drown.
And they're just going to try out.
Yes.
And it's going to be like, let's try this kind of love. Let's try it. Have you been here before? Yeah, yes, maybe not, but let's try. These are the people who are going to make you conquer some fears. So all we are saying is there's something to learn from everybody.
Okay.
When it comes to them, to the adventure, those that twist, you're going to try some things and wonder how fast did we reach here. And eventually those that crumple, you're going to know that these people are process oriented. Let's begin here. They're going to stick with you. Let's go, as long as you have that kind of emotional connection that works for them.
Okay.
They need supporters. They do not need to feel like they're dragging you.
Yeah.
That's why fast eaters and adventurers, like I said, work together so well.
Slow eaters, adventurers work together.
Slow eaters and adventurers. No, actually, fast eaters and adventurers work together.
Yeah.
Fast eaters and adventurers work together because they want to face life head on.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Tuko na maswali mingi hapa.
Niko tayari.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
Ask about those who mix food before eating. E.g. chapati, like chapati in food. Wamekata chapo, wamemix hivi na mbosho. Iyo ni meal.
This is a trial and error. The first people that you're going to irritate is the isolationists. These are
That's
people
true.
who don't mix their food.
Yeah.
Food never mixes. That means soup na hiyo chapati unasema never mixes. They'd rather have a bowl of soup. They'd rather have their peas kando, solid food kando. Solid goes with solid and they never touch. You're going to see those details with them. They never touch. Hata kama ni chakula haina gravy type. You know, we are talking about eating habits generally.
Yes.
Today we are keeping it around the relationship because it also works for business. If it was for business, it's something else. But for relationship, it means that these people do not want things to be messy on their plate. You serve them like that, they have already shut down. They do not want. So challenge that you're having, you're going to irritate the isolationists. People you're going to irritate, you're going to irritate those who fold. You're going to excite those who twist, adventurer, because they try. Tujaribu tu. But you're going to irritate those that take their time. Adventurer eaters, you might excite them. Fast eaters, you are not going to excite them. So if you mix your food generally, you also mix your feelings. Vitu zinaingiana. This is what I said sometimes, even if you look at your closet, you kind of mix things up. You know where, you know where everything is. Don't get me wrong.
But nobody else will know.
But nobody else will know. Perfectly put.
What about people who do not want to be served? They prefer to serve their own food.
Yes.
What kind of eater are those ones?
You either have a very assertive person, Moikali.
Very assertive person.
Very assertive person, because they do not want to irritate you.
Okay.
Because they are very particular on how they want their food serving. Because akikuelezea Mwikali niekee mob, niekee hii kidogo, already ushakuwa irritated.
Yes.
So they know themselves. We either have an assertive person, so let me serve myself so that I don't irritate you in the process of telling you what I want. Or secondly, they are just not very inclusive people. They're very guarded. This is a very guarded person, very, very guarded person. Probably even on the likes of fast eaters, some fast eaters and isolationists. These are people who kind of serve their food kidogo. They have no problem. Watakangi kumix na watu sana. They are respectful.
Yes.
Very respectful. You might even think like we have beef.
Yes.
But it's just how they handle their life.
Okay.
Privately
Okay.
before publicly.
All right.
So it depends on which side you kind of activate. Now, if she's a lady, as a dude, I'll kind of work with the first one, assertiveness. So I'll not feel irritated.
Okay.
I'll not say I'm not needed in her life.
Slow and picky eaters.
Slow and picky eaters, these are people who can rhyme well. They can rhyme well because they almost operate the same. The problem we have with the slow eater and the picky eater is this. It's that quick mood changes will be expected from both of them. But what I like about the slow eater is that we'll at least finish their food on the plate. Picky eater, we have no guarantee that they will finish.
Okay.
I might serve myself, decide I might eat or not eat, put it in the fridge, stays there 2-3 days. Oh, I left this again. So again, back again to the same food. Keep plodding, have something new. Let me put that, let me keep this aside. So we have these quick mood changes with both of them. And since they know each other very well, if they're in a relationship, they kind of excuse each other. So the problem that we have is that one of them will finish, one won't.
Okay.
If this is a relationship and you're probably having that lady who's that picky eater, then you know, dear gentleman, if you're the one who's now the slow eater, then you realize that yes, both of you will begin slowly, but she might not really you really need to kind of keep motivating her that you're in a relationship. Hello, we decided to be together, we decided to be one item. Now, we can't remember, and to our viewers, we said there's the shallow end and the deep end of this relationship. These are the people, or that kind of emotional connection will survive on the shallow and can completely survive on that.
Okay.
As long as we're never going to go to the deeper ends, because I've realized as a slow eater, I might reach there gradually. As a picky eater, you might never decide to go in the deeper parts
What
with
if
me.
these two traits are in one person?
Now, that is very unusual.
Okay.
Very unusual when you have both traits in one person.
Yeah.
On the extreme end, character assassination in the relationship, they probably lost themselves along the way. That's on the extreme end. If it's not on the extreme end, it's just your pace of life needs to be challenged. You kind of need an adventurer somewhere.
Ooh,
You know
yes.
why? To spice things up.
Yep. Tuna dakika nne, jameni, maswali ni mingi. Good morning, Mikali. I'm loving the show. Just tuning in the show and now realized you're all talking about eating habits and relationships. I'm a first eater and my hubby is a slow eater. Hiyo inamaanisha nini? Ama tuko na personality gani hizi? So we have a fast eater and a slow eater.
Fast eater, slow eater. And now the lady happens to be the
Fast.
The lady
She's
is the fast eater.
Yes, hubby is slow eater.
Now we either have a very patient man who knows his position in her life, and to keep things in proper equilibrium, either he slows his pace to make the woman be ahead. So since the lady eats fast, she's going to be strong-willed. It does not mean that the guy is not strong-willed, but he's just known to keep this emotional connection alive. I just have to slow down my pace.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe in other settings, he may be fast-paced. Like I said, this is where now we discover the personality traits and the eating habits to be completely different. His personality trait might be he's an extrovert, but his eating habits is quite introverted, just to keep the emotional connection alive.
Okay. Okay.
So this is where you've got to take it for the relationship.
It's important.
It's important.
It is important.
Yeah.
Judy watching from Wallef, I think,
Wow.
Prayer Garden.
Yes.
Gatundu. You know it?
I kind of know it.
Okay. Good show. I'm the unpredictable eater. Hiyo ni mgani sasa? Picky.
Picky eater.
Unpredictable eater. I depend on the mood, but my hubby huchangamka serious.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So now we have a very unusual way of connecting here. We have different types of food-related behavior from the lady. And the man, she's saying that at one time, amechangamka, you call like this,
Yeah.
is because of the emotional connection, which I'm driving our viewers today to understand.
Yeah.
if you have noticed that to keep the emotional connection alive, we start even having similar eating habits, yet we are not.
Okay.
This is why I kind of change my habits to keep up with your pace and view of life. I've noticed that probably I kind of eat fast, I kind of eat slow, and you kind of eat fast, and you kind of eat slow. We just want to have a communication sense here. That's what it's saying.
Okay.
If we start mirroring each other's eating habits or food-related behaviors, we are looking for communication. Because you can imagine, Mwikali, again, if this was a relationship, I'm a fast eater, you're a slow eater. Are we ever going to communicate? Not necessarily. As long as food is here,
Yeah.
I eat fast and look at you like, Mwikali, could you serve me again? So
Like, I'm
trying.
not done with mine.
Exactly.
See, when do JK?
Niende ni JK. And you know how that may feel, depending on how we've worked on our
Yeah.
emotional connection. I'm like, am I really needed here? I'm starting to doubt my position in this. So to survive the communication sense here, we have to almost mirror each other. I'll start being the slow eater now for your sake and for the sake of communication.
Okay.
Psychologically, what it's saying, Judy from Prayer Garden, another place, it's more about communication.
Okay.
Communication.
And our time is up.
Oh my.
I see. Kuna mwingine hapa wa chai anasema, Mark, what about mwenye lazima anywe chai after every meal?
After every meal? Wow, for real?
Breakfast ni chai alafu chai ingine. What are you saying? But thank you so much for sending in your questions. Our time is really up. I'm looking forward to next week. I don't know what you're going to talk about, but I'm always eager to find out. It's questions zenye tujajibu, please kindly direct them to Mark. Mark, social media.
Social media platforms are in Instagram, that is Mark_Mbogwa, YouTube, Mark Mbogwa, in Facebook, Mark Mbogwa, and in Twitter, that is @GiftedPurpose. Driving your questions, will be waiting.
Asante sana.
Thank you so much.
We're going to take a short commercial break. When we come back, Decaplo Fitness. Wakifanya ile kitendo, of course, out of studio. Me being part of them or not. But, you know, one way or the other, we're just huko. We'll be right back.